Hi, all. Welcome. Nice to see you. Fuck, my head's huge in the screen. It's way too big. Let's zoom out on my head. There we go. Job done. Speaking of big heads, the crew is here today. Please welcome to the program, as always, Lachlan Cross from 95.7 Cruise FM at Edmonton, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Ryan Lindley, he joins us this week because he's having a thing. He's having a thing this week with us. We're having a thing where we're taking on the world, and so he's here. That's what he's here for. To take. I
was taking the week off.
Oh, I know you were.
You have a large head too, Ryan. Like
big old head.
You got a big melon.
Yeah. And in today, that's nice. In today, by special request, please welcome a 25-year Canadian veteran, service veteran of Canada's Army, Chris, who has a podcast with us called Fire for Effect. Hey, Chris, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Cheers, gents. Doing good.
You're all frozen. Is his screen frozen too, or is it just me?
Go in and out. Go in and out.
Yeah, Chris. Go out. Come back in, Chris.
Sometimes
we need
people
you today.
with PTSD, their screen freezes.
Fucking get out of here.
Is that what it is?
How do you fucking get out of here? He says.
Just leave.
Oh, there you go. You don't have to
go
anywhere now. You're good. You're unfrozen. There's Army Chris. Did you get a fucking fresh haircut for today's show, by the way?
No, this is actually 3 days old.
Is it? Are you one of those dudes that has like a haircut every like couple of weeks?
Yeah. Every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. Is
as
it
like I can grab it, it's got to go.
Really? Does it bug you, or is it just Army stuff? Like just so used to being an Army dude that you're like, fuck.
Probably both. I'm so used to having a haircut like this. Like the minute I can grab it, I start losing my mind and I have to go get it cut.
Yeah, I got a haircut yesterday. That's why I asked, and I get them every like 6 months.
And you look damn good too.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. But you always have the same length hair, and it's always nice and tight. And I'm like, it's got to be his fucking 25 years in the Army. Like it's one of those things where if like your hair gets long, you feel like you're not the person that you used to be. You can't rush into war with long hair, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's an $18 utility cut. Never in style, never out.
No,
it's perfect.
Yeah,
functional.
Dude. Same thing. $25 for this bad boy yesterday. I feel great.
I don't even own a comb. Like
mine was free.
Yeah.
I wish I had the option to grab mine and get mad.
Locke just put his Flowbee on Kijiji.
His wife cuts his hair every couple of weeks. She like de-Wookiees him. She goes over and she like shaves his head and all that other stuff.
I do my chest and nuts and everything like that. I don't make her do that.
Speaking of which, you look great. You posted a picture of yourself naked today online. That was nice.
I have Jude Law's body.
You don't have Jude Law's body.
I fucking totally do. Look at that.
You don't.
Look at that rain cloud of chest hair.
Yeah.
It's like a rain cloud.
But look at. We have the same pecs. We have the same shoulders. We almost have the same package.
You have a defined treasure trail.
Just so you know, Jude Law has a notoriously small penis in Hollywood circles. So if you say you have the same package as Jude Law, and you look nothing like him, you don't have the same body type. You better pray you don't have the same package.
I've commented about my unit numerous times on this podcast, and if I'm filling out a pair of shorts, it's largely, if we're being honest, it's largely because of my nuts. The rod is what it is, and it does the trick.
I got to tell you, you can kind of see that. You can kind of see that in this picture when you compare Jude Law's package to your package. You look like you have significantly more testicular area in the pants than he does.
Way more real estate.
Yeah,
I do.
And I think it's cool that you're not saying it's your wiener too. Like a lot of guys would go, look at that. My package is bigger than Jude Law's, but you're like, it might not be. It might just be all balls.
Yeah.
If we're doing a water displacement thing, right, where I'm dipping my junk into a bucket of water and we're seeing how much comes out, largely the effect of the water displacement is going to be because of my nuts. I'm not going to lie to people. I'm a bit of a grower in that department. Yeah.
I'm glad we started there. Yeah.
I'm not the wristwatch guy, right? Like I can't wrap the thing around a pole or do anything. Yeah.
You can't go like that with it?
No.
You can't grab it and then go like that? Well, you should be able to. Most guys can. Maybe I just have small wrists.
He can cover a Buick with his nutsack, though.
Listen, if I ever jump out of a plane with no
Yeah.
parachute, I'll be
Yeah.
fine.
All right. Well, listen, I'm glad you're here. Big nuts and all. And James is here, too. He
Army
just
Chris
sidled in. James E. DiFiore is in the house.
What's up, guys?
At James DiFiore on Twitter. Nice to see you. Let's start with the war. Seems like it's probably a fucking good place to start. Last night, I was kind of sitting around and I was getting ready for bed, and I'm like, I see this thing come across my Twitter feed. It's like, World War III just began. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I started looking around. And I'm like, oh, yeah, World War III did just begin. If you'd missed it, Ukraine was attacked yesterday. It was invaded by Vladimir Putin and like 175,000 Russian troops that were amassed in the eastern part of the Ukraine. I call it the Ukraine, and I'm sorry if I do a couple of times. It's old school. I'm going to try and stay with Ukraine. But it is like, I called Chris last night as soon as it happened because he's a veteran and he knows everything about the Army and what's happening and warfare, and he gave me the fucking incredible breakdown. So we're going to get to it with Army Chris today, at the Army Chris on Twitter. But Chris, in the span of, I called you at 11 o'clock, I think?
I think so, yeah.
It was probably 11 o'clock my time, so 10 o'clock your time. You were shit-faced. Jimmy couldn't speak. You were pouring him into an Uber. And I'm like, dude, you got a minute? You're like, you got it. This is fucking incredible. And you walked me through. But from the time that I got on the phone with you to when the bombs started flying and they started attacking the entire country, it wasn't just the eastern part. They went after the entire country. It was like it got worse and worse and worse as the minutes went on in your assessment of it. But how do you look at what happened yesterday as a 25-year veteran of Canadian Forces? How do you look at what happened on the world stage? And just like, how the fuck was he able just to walk in?
Well, I'll tell you what, if anybody is surprised at how fast that happened and what happened, I'm surprised that you would be, because if you didn't see this coming, fuck, you're living under a blanket or something. It was a textbook invasion. They started off with an air campaign. That air campaign, it would be to target key military infrastructure. C2, as we call it, command and control, or C3, command and control communications. So the first thing they would have took out is all the air defense assets, followed by communication, and either seize or destroy runways to minimize the Ukraine as well. So minimize Ukraine's ability to get aircraft in the air. And they would follow it with a ground campaign, which would start with a reconnaissance element to start sending information back. That would allow Russian commanders to formulate plans to seize key areas. They came in from the south. They came in from the north and the east. So what they're going to do now is pinch off all Ukraine's forces in eastern Ukraine and go from there. So it was actually very much textbook with all my military buddies, and I'm not sure if Daryl's watching right now. Textbook.
What do you mean textbook? Like textbook in how they did it? Because from my understanding, we're just watching some footage of some helicopters heading into Kiev Airport. They took over Kiev Airport, or Kyiv as Ukrainians call it. Yeah. They took over every major airport. They took over Odessa. If you've seen some of the pictures from Odessa, it's just smoke clouds. They literally bombed the shit out of every military installation. They bombed the fuck out of like the military headquarters. Now apparently they're making like an end run into Kyiv to take out the leadership of Ukraine, and it's like, I'm having a hard time processing it, and I've seen a couple wars just on television, not like you. I haven't been in them. But this one's like hard for me to process because it's not the Middle East. Like these are like educated European countries that haven't seen this since like 1945, dude.
Well, if you think back from the flip side of that coin, and you look at the U.S.-led invasion into Iraq, both of them Gulf War I and II, it was the exact same way. Remember watching your TV with the green screen looking night vision where they bombed Iraq first and they followed that up with a ground invasion, and they took out key infrastructure. They went after leadership, and that's exactly what they did. The Russians doing the exact same thing, like doctrinally and tactically, a textbook operation, while NATO sits back and uses stern language as a response.
Yeah, one of the pictures that came out of, I think it was Kharkiv, Ukraine. This is one of the videos that came out of Kharkiv. Let's watch it together. This is like an apartment building they went after. This is like people that just live there. They just bombed the fuck out of this city called Kharkiv in Ukraine using these missiles called Smerch missiles. Not sure what Smerch missiles are, but apparently not a lot of accuracy. But it's just a carpet bombing of the country, is it not at this point?
It shouldn't be. I mean, they're going to claim, like, every time the U.S. fucked up and blew up a hospital, and we saw that on CNN, this has got to be adjacent to or in the vicinity of a strategic target that they were trying to hit, and it's collateral damage, and it's going to get worse for sure.
Fuck, it's bizarre to me.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. Like, it's hard for me to process this whole thing because Zelensky, the president or the prime minister of Ukraine, Zelensky, I think he's the president. He got on the horn this morning on Twitter, and he's like, "Hey, listen, if anybody wants a gun, come on down to your local police station. We'll give you guns. If anybody wants to lay landmines, come on down to the police station. We'll let you lay landmines." Like, we haven't seen this as a society for 75 years, dude. Like, that's why it's so foreign to me. But what scares me, too, isn't the fact that it's happening. What scares me is the rhetoric that I'm hearing coming out of the UK, coming out of France. And I say rhetoric because we don't know if it's true or not because they let this whole thing happen with NATO anyway. So everything's been rhetoric to this point. But, like, we're talking about a major skirmish with superpowers over Ukrainian sovereign soil, right? Like this, I heard Biden today. Biden was like, "Hey, listen, we're going to fucking shut them down. The sanctions, I think they're taking care of like every major bank and stopping short of like refusing to allow them to move money anywhere with the SWIFT account." But it like the sanctions Canada put on them today were fucking severe. I think they targeted 58 different oligarchs. They've canceled any import-exporting permits. So they basically put Russia on an island. And I know there's a whole bunch of these sanction things to come, but like we haven't seen these kinds of full sanctions. We haven't seen this kind of rhetoric in, like I said, 75 years. So should we be worried, not as a country for our own safety, but should we be worried about the mutual security of the people that are not involved in this from a combatant standpoint?
Absolutely, you should be. Leaving the economic tilt that's about to occur worldwide, that's already occurring. If you're looking at the markets and what the price of oil is going to look like, what Europe's going to be without 40% of its natural gas, which comes from Russia, and that's about my level of economic understandings of sanctions right there. But what you've got here is understand that Ukraine, next to Belarus, is the only non-NATO country that straddles the border between Western Europe and Russia. So when everybody else is a NATO country surrounding you, and the Ukraine's, there you go, we got a map, where the Ukraine is in relation to the Black Sea, which gives you access down to the Med, which gives you access to the Atlantic at Odessa, which they've seized already. It's very important that Putin, from his perspective, Putin, sorry, not Putin. I always call him that, man.
Well, that's a very Canadian way to.
It's pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
He's pretty cheesy.
Cheese curd there, I'll call him that. He's maintained that he doesn't want any more Western encroachment on his borders. This isn't nothing new. This shit's been going on since the annex to Crimea, which is down at the bottom, and it's been going on for years. It's not new, so he doesn't want that. And he wants to destabilize any opportunity, not that they had one, for Ukraine to get into NATO. He never wanted them to become another NATO country. So Moldova, which is just south of Ukraine, is also not a NATO country, but I don't really consider them overly significant. So he is basically said, I'm going to fucking do this. And now what's the response going to be? So what's NATO going to do? They're going to amass a bunch of troops. It's already happened. In Canada now, it's 3,400 guys on standby, as I said before. I actually called my buddies in the Netherlands yesterday to find out what was going on over there. And they're on high alert, which varies by country what that means. And what they're going to do is start amassing guys in NATO countries that border the Ukraine. So specifically, you'd be looking at Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, all the countries that are on the western edge. And you'll see a buildup of NATO forces. And then they're going to watch and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, Joe Biden just pushed 7,000 troops into Germany. He announced it just before we went on the air here.
Yeah, the United States has a ton of bases all over Germany and Europe, so like it's just a matter of surging guys in there and then getting them ready to roll. But I don't see that happening because you got a megalomaniac there with fucking nuclear launch codes. I mean,
yeah,
I'd be afraid that this guy is so insane and so egotistical that he wouldn't be afraid to use them.
Biden
Can I
made it
play you
very
guys
clear.
a video? I'm gonna play you guys a video. This is sorry, Ryan, and I'm gonna give up the floor in a second. I just wanted to kind of lay some groundwork. I apologize.
No.
Play a video. Like they were calling this, and I think you put this up, Ryan. You might have put this video up. In fact, I think you did. They said it was just a military installation, right? A peacekeeping mission. This is like a residential neighborhood in Kiev or Kyiv, if you're from Ukraine. And this is a residential neighborhood. I want you to listen to the baby, and I want you to watch the jet fly overhead, and I want you to watch it unload its payload into a suburban area in Kyiv. Watch this. This is fucking bizarre.
Чув? Я не бачу. Ой, Боже.
So the full-on evacuation, very hard for people to see, very hard for people to understand what's going on over there because it's like, again, this is just movie shit we see, but this is real, right?
Yeah, and we've gotten to a point now where everybody's got a camera, and you're in a place that people have the internet, free access to the internet. It's not like we saw in the Middle East where people don't have that. Now Syria. Now we're going to see it. And you're going to see it in real time like we have. And I think that's part of where your shock came from today, and mine as well, was the fact that we've never seen pictures like this so fast as it happened. Joe Biden made it very clear today that the U.S. will not get in the middle of this conflict, but they will be there to support the NATO allies on the outside.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like, I was listening to him today, and I'm like, what does that mean you're there to support? And same with Canada. What does that mean? Like, what is non-EU NATO countries, Chris? What does that mean? Like, how do we support this effort? Because 460 troops, 340 on standby, some lethal equipment, and some sanctions. Like, is that it? Is that what we're doing? Or,
yeah.
Because it's not really our job to get in there. This is an EU thing, correct?
Canada's, and I was just talking with Daryl, who's watching this. So there's a guy watching high explosive. He's a lieutenant colonel in the military. I've known him for a long time. And we talked about this a lot. And really, Canada can't contribute much. We always work in a joint operation wherever we go, just because we don't have the Canadian military all in is less than around 90,000 people at any given time. Of only X% of that is hard army. And only X% of that is deployable. And if you talk about the logistics and equipment and the ability to move it there, we only have 5 C-17 Globemaster strategic lift aircraft that can only carry 100 guys plus their gear. So you do the math on that. We got to borrow a ride to get wherever we need to go. So I think like the 400 guys that are there, they're going to be there to train and assist the Ukraine armed forces. And we'll send staff officers to support strategic planning, and we'll probably send, at best, a battle group worth of guys, which would consist of infantry, like armored infantry and LAVs, perhaps some Leopard 2 tanks, maybe some artillery, maybe some F-18s, but it'd be a really small piece of a very, very large pie to say, hey, look what we did. Mm-hmm. Other than that, because the Ukraine is not a NATO country, you're in a bit of a bind here, and unfortunately, it's the people of Ukraine who are going to suffer over Putin's dick wagging and the West's lack of fortitude to respond out of fear of the nuclear option.
It's kind of surprising that Putin hasn't done something like this previous to this, because he's never recognized the sovereignty of the Ukraine. And it's, as far as a strategic point, and again, this is coming from a layman, obviously, but I mean, just based on, if you look at a map, it's fairly obvious why he wants the Ukraine. I mean, there's got to be something. Can you think of anything, Chris, that would suggest that he did this at this time for some reason. I keep leaning on this idea that he's looking around at leadership around the world and maybe thinking that now's a good time because there's
World's
fairly
full of
weak
pussies.
leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because I'm really curious to see what China does. I bet Dean a case of beer earlier today that China's going to watch this and go, meh, the West didn't do fuck all. We're taking Taiwan.
They've already started moving in on it.
Yeah.
There you go. Not to jump
Taiwan
back.
reported 9 Chinese aircraft in their own airspace and defense zones, and they've been chasing them out of their defense space all day today.
There was no kinetic response to that, and I get it. Ukraine's not part of NATO, and it's a very contentious location in relation to where it is and the fact that it isn't NATO. If this is a NATO country, I would like to hope you'd see a different response, but it's not. So all they're going to do is use strong language, heavy sanctions, which will have a massive economic impact on the whole planet.
Russia's market's in the toilet right now already.
Yeah.
The ruble tanked, their stock market tanked, and
What I'm really curious to see is not what happens right now. Like the people of the Ukraine are going to suffer fucking huge casualties, civilian and military. But here's what happens next.
this is door to door too, right? Like we're not talking about tomahawks decimating a city. It was cruise missiles decimating infrastructure, and now it's door to door. And just to kind of give you guys, a little bit of an understanding of what that looks like in Ukraine, and I wasn't joking. President Zelensky just put out a bunch of tweets this morning saying, "Please come and get weapons. The time for war is here." And these are the people that lined up. This is legitimately a lineup to go inside a police station to get literally a couple hours worth of training on how to fire a rifle or a handgun or an RPG or whatever it is they got. And hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian people have lined up for the Citizen Brigade. Sorry, Chris, didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm interrupting. I'm good at that. Good. It's like the middle of your sentence always interrupts the beginning of mine. What you're seeing, and I was just chatting with Daryl on this as well, is the beginning of a fucking long game Russia does not want to play. And if the Russian people memory does not go back to the 80s when they tried to occupy Afghanistan, how the fuck do you think that worked out? So they will seize control of the Ukraine, and then the insurgency begins. And you guys are all too familiar with how that goes.
Yep.
That insurgency will be backed by special operations forces from NATO, where they will train and supply and equip the, we'll call them freedom fighters in advance, because it's what they're going to be. And you are talking a lot of Russian body bags coming back, which will break the morale, much like it did in the Western world in Afghanistan and Iraq, of the Russian people. And Mr. Cheese Curd is in for a fucking wake-up call. Not today, but it's coming. There will be an insurgency supported by the West in a country surrounded by NATO countries with can easily support from a supply perspective, that insurgency that will happen in the Ukraine. Until then, Russia will, this is my prediction, seize control of the Ukraine its entirety within weeks, because NATO is not going to fucking jump in.
Yeah.
James, you had a question? Sorry to interrupt.
I was just sort of curious. I wonder if, because when I've been watching this footage, I can't help but have this feeling that that Russia's really doing something that's so wrong, and maybe like 6% as wrong as shit we've seen the Americans do in the last 10 years. And I'm not even coming at that from a political perspective. It's just, the world, sometimes we see these things happen and we're like, how dare Russia do something so awful? And that country that's saying that is like drone bombing like 10 countries simultaneously, killing civilians everywhere in the world. I don't know how much of an appetite people have for like listening to the way that this enemy is being portrayed. And I think that for a lot of us, it's giving us pause for what we've seen over the last 2 decades from the good guys. And I just find it, I find it distracting, because I can't, I'm like, okay, they entered a country. Wow. It's so small compared to what we normally see. And it is serious. I'm not saying I'm for it or anything like that. I think that something should be done to stop the full invasion of Ukraine. But I can't help it. Like, I don't know. It's such a hypocrisy, I think, from NATO, from the United States. That's just the way I feel about it. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's fair comments, but fuck. On one hand, I understand his rationale of why he's doing it from a strategic decision-making standpoint to keep that insulation barrier, something we used to call the Iron Curtain. And he's going to try to build that piece by piece. He wants that insulation between Mother Russia and Western Europe. He wants that, and he's proven it fucking by ironically enough, 23 February, Pink Shirt Day, all about anti-bullying, and the biggest bully on the planet comes out. Boom.
He probably did that on purpose. He's such a troll like that. It's true.
Oh, sorry, I started the wrong video at the wrong time. Yeah, he is a troll like that, and you knew it was going to happen. Like it was funny because I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were like, "Hey, wait until the Olympics are over. You're going to see fireworks." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Ukraine. Just wait till the Olympics are over," because it was in China, and apparently Putin had a deal with the chairman of the Chinese Communist Party to legitimately wait until this was done, until after the not the Olympics, the Paralympics. And Putin was like, no problem. I'll wait till after the Paralympics, because you got like Russian and Ukrainian people competing against each other in the Paralympics, like literally right now.
Wow.
And China was like, hey, can you just hold off until all the Olympic events are done, including and
Yeah,
Putin's
you wouldn't
like,
want that to get out of hand.
Putin's like, no problem, and like, fuck it, he just went for it. And I don't know, did you guys read his statement or his actual speech? It was 7,500 words long, and I read it last night when I was in the car waiting for my son at baseball practice.
Putin's?
And it, yeah,
Yeah.
Putin's, and
Okay.
it legitimately like
Unhinged.
it read like a grievance letter a fired employee would
Manifesto.
hand in who was mentally unwell. It talked about it, just literally like a series of historical lies about Ukraine, and then he went into how corrupt Ukraine was, and it was full of Nazis, and all the people of Ukraine have been begging him to go into Ukraine to kill everybody. And he's like, I want my
Yeah.
diamonds back. I want all our gold back. And then it was so fucking hilarious. In the middle of it, he's like, and here's something I haven't told anybody. Bill Clinton pissed me off in 2000, so fuck him. And then and then he goes on and on again about, he's like, and I want all the Ukraine's war shit, and all their factories are in disrepair, so I'm going to take all that too. So fuck the world. Like that statement in itself, as I read it, was like the most unhinged shit. And listen, I'm not like a geopolitical genius or anything, but if I can make my way through a speech that was translated from Russian, and at the end of it I go, holy fuck, this guy's insane, all bets are off in that region. And because one of the things he said yesterday after I read this, I'm like, holy fuck, he reminded people in the middle of the speech too, he's a nuclear superpower. Like, and then he said, and if you fuck with us, if any country in the world fucks with us, we're going to do something to you that has never been done before.
Yeah.
And
Is
I'm like,
Donald
never
Trump
oh my
his
fucking
speechwriter
God.
now?
Like,
Well, you know
maybe.
what?
When did he hire Trump to be his
Read
speechwriter?
between the
'Cause that's
lines on
exactly
that.
what Trump said to.
He's
Well,
a
what is
saber
it?
rattler at best, usually.
Like I just watched Biden on TV. Someone was like, hey, do you think he's going to launch nukes? You know what Biden just said? He's like, I don't
I have
know.
no idea.
Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what though? Honestly,
I
I
have no
wonder
idea. I don't
if Putin is taking a look at what's happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years in North America, with the insanity revolving around our politics, and maybe went, you know, that crazy thing kind of works. Do you think he's playing it up a bit?
I'll tell you what Putin thinks. He's watched the last 5 or 6, 7 years. Actually, let's call it fucking 20. And what he's watched is successive failures of the United States military and NATO in Iraq and in Afghanistan. Those are the key playing areas we've been in since 1990, all the way to last year when the Taliban retook it. So you watch that, and it's like, these fucking guys can't win anything. I'm going to go. Fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he would have done this with Trump in power?
Oh, they do fondue together on Wednesdays, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's hard to say. But he
Yeah.
saw a president trip and fall getting off Air Force One and shit his pants in a fucking in a live, he's not scared of him, but he's crazy. He's not scared of anybody. Leave Biden out of it. He doesn't give a fuck about Boris Johnson or Macron in France or whoever runs Germany today. He just said, fuck you. That's what he did. And he said,
And
I'm
what's
doing
her
it.
face
was?
to
Is
just
that what
step
we're
down?
watching? Is that what we're watching? Are we
Yeah.
watching like a legitimate, insane
Yeah, absolutely.
leader of a superpower country say, hey, here's my dick, thud, go fuck yourself.
Yes.
Now let's see what you can do. Is that
Yeah,
what he did?
That's what I believe, 100%.
Yeah,
and
There's nobody in their right fucking mind is going to invade a European country like that.
Well,
is
they
the
talked
last
on the
guy-
phone too.
Last guy that
Biden
did
and
that was called Hitler, and he was fucking crazy. We all know that,
Yeah.
right? So, like, yeah, he's legit crazy. And here's how big my fucking Russian cock is. What are you going to fucking do about it? Nothing.
Putin and Biden spoke on the phone, and the last time they spoke, Putin said something like, you're so insignificant to me, I've already forgotten your name, and Biden was like, so did I.
Did he really say that?
Biden fell asleep in the middle of the meeting anyway.
Biden did make an official statement that he will not be speaking with him now. They're no longer on talking
I don't
terms
know what to
on
say.
an official capacity,
Yeah,
which
he's
is
off the Christmas card list.
yeah. And the one thing that scares the shit out of me out of this, you don't even have to launch a nuke. Russians are now overtaking Chernobyl, the site of the Chernobyl plant right now. Like they've actually
Oh, they
set
have
up a
it.
base camp.
They,
it's like
they took
yeah.
it over like an hour ago. They're
Yeah.
like,
Well,
we'll
they
take
were
this.
dropping bombs
six-
on it.
when
If
this
I
is
remember correctly, didn't we cover some shit up
Yep.
that probably you shouldn't drop bombs on?
Feels like
Yep.
if they're going into Chernobyl, feels like they didn't get the fucking memo. You can't go in there.
Well, aren't they doing
can't
it
spend a
so
long
to
time
dare,
there,
to
that's for
dare
sure.
the allies to drop bombs on them? Because if they do that, then they'll be releasing a bunch of toxicity into the atmosphere. Isn't that the idea? It's like a human shield sort of
Well,
situation.
you could do that because if you start, I'm not a nuclear expert, but I know that if you just start disturbing that shit like asbestos,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
airborne, you
They
got a
bear-
huge fucking problem.
Yeah, they
Huge
buried a
problem.
lot
Glad
of
I
it.
tuned in today. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
Don't
coming
go
out.
to Chernobyl.
Yeah,
Locke
dude,
doesn't
it's
know he's
fucked.
frozen.
Rock's frozen.
It's
But
it's
he
one of the
looks
most.
good frozen. Look at him.
Yeah, no, I don't have him frozen. I think he's moving all over the place up here
Oh,
for
he's
me.
frozen
I can
for
see
me.
him right here. Is he
Frozen.
really? Is it frozen me?
All right, I'll
Um,
bounce back out here.
Speaking of Putin, Ryan sent me this picture of him with his daughter, the attractive daughter. 'Cause
Wow,
he's got
she's
two.
hot.
He's got one that's hot and one that not so much.
No, I
Um,
do.
Is she a Romulan? What? She looks like the Romulan, like a Star Trek staffer.
But
Six
I
beers
was
and I'm in.
I was shocked by it because you see him on the right there. You see Putin on the right. See how fucking unbelievably different he looks here compared to here. Like I don't know what it was. Like I just assumed maybe he got older and his face got puffier. Did he get some pre-war Botox or like a facelift or something?
He's
The
looking
real
at his
president
daughter.
is
He's just filled with joy. That's all that is.
No, that is dude. You know how much work he had done to his face?
Hold on.
Like,
The first
looking
one,
at-
he's looking at a reporter. That's why he looks disgusted and he looks meh. And then in that one, he's looking at his daughter. I think you're seeing the difference in laugh lines and those kinds of things.
Nah, man.
No,
Nah.
that's some Real Housewives of Dictator County right
Yeah,
there.
I'm
That's
with
what's going
you.
on there.
If
Do
you're
you
gonna
think that's
be,
like a body double? Maybe it's a
listen,
body
if-
double.
If you're going to be the face of evil, you need to look fucking good doing it.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
All
a
the good
lot
ones
of
have body
Juvederm.
doubles.
That's a
probably
lot of fucking Juvederm. And then the other thing I noticed, some of the pictures that came out of this thing, have you seen the age of some of the Russian soldiers that got caught? Because, like, the Ukrainian
Kids.
people are literally fighting these guys in the streets. Like, in the woods, in the streets, and they're taking all kinds of heat. Like, look at this one picture. They caught these guys. These are Russian soldiers. They got duct tape uniforms. I am not joking. Look at the duct tape red, and they've got duct tape gray on other guys to say, you're in the red group, you're in the gray group. They got green duct tape. But look at the kid on the left. Look at how old he is.
17, 18.
Is he
maybe.
17? Is he 16?
Probably just
Yeah.
17. Fucking in you go, kid. You're going to the front.
Jesus.
And
Christ,
then
these
I read
babies.
another article that said that they started taking kids, like teenagers, out of like juvenile detention centers and sending them to the front lines in December.
This is why we should be concerned.
Yeah.
Right, because this doesn't happen anymore, right? I mean, all our kids in North America are in the basement right now playing video games. Like this is. I shouldn't have said it. I said a couple of months back. I think we're smart enough not to go to start another world war, but maybe I was really wrong.
He's also in contravention of a lot of things from the Geneva Convention, and he could be seriously looking at sanctions from the UN on war crimes using child soldiers.
Dude, he doesn't fucking care. He doesn't care about anything.
I know.
Every athlete in the Olympics that plays for Russia, they line you up and they fucking juice you. They start juicing you when you're like 13 if you show any promise in sports. The 15-year-old, the 15-year-old girl that was the figure skater, she got caught with an illegal substance. I mean, and they have people behind in rooms that spend years and years and years trying to mask these drugs and hide them from the Olympic Committee. If they're cheating, and they don't fucking care, they do not care. All they care about is winning. That is it. That is it. And that's a perception that is just ingrained right through the culture. It's not just a Putin thing. I mean, that's we're going to find any way we can to fuck with the Western civilization. And it starts there. That mentality is why that kid's in the woods taking shots at Ukrainians running around.
Yeah, dude, look at him. Dude, he's fucking 16. If he's 16, and he doesn't have enough chapstick, I can tell they already ran out on the front lines. But they're 16. I mean, it just speaks to how fucking crazy this guy is. And I, as I'm watching everything kind of happen in front of me, and we were talking about it last night, Chris, like things got progressively worse. Some of the things that we've seen, and this is just a video I'm going to show you. This is a video of a rocket that literally landed in the city center of the capital of Ukraine that didn't explode, which is fucking unbelievable. But look at the video. It's fucked.
Как вам такой прецедент на победу? Какая-то нахуй самопальная ракета.
So my question is like, you're seeing the capital of that country get fucked over by bombs and missiles and tomahawks and cruise missiles and all that shit. You're seeing every major city get taken over, every airport. The U.S. has been talking about this. Their intelligence has been bang on for months. Like this last couple of weeks, they're like, hey, he's going for the whole fucking country. He's going for the whole fucking country. And everybody was like, we'll wait and see. Then they push another 30,000 troops to the border in the Donbass region. And all of a sudden it happens. Like, why are we surprised? And why the fuck did we not do anything to this point?
Because it's Russia.
Because they're scared of them.
Yeah.
They're fucking scared of them. What are they going to do if China invades Taiwan? Like, I mean, are we going to protect Taiwan? I don't think we would. I mean, I don't know.
Is it even our job?
No.
Well, there you go. That's just it.
That's the morality question, right?
This doesn't surprise me, but I'm curious if, let's say, it was an actual NATO country, would they even then have the fucking fortitude to do something? By the rules of NATO, they have to respond. But the Ukraine, we don't have to. And
they said we're friendly, but they're not technically a member.
That's why Ukraine is such an important chess piece, right? That's why they've been trying to get. There's been a push to try to get Ukraine as part of. And big ups to Sean Parker for changing it from the Ukraine to Ukraine. It's a lot cleaner, I think.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks. And anyways, but the idea though that Ukraine as a non-NATO nation would be able to then receive protection from NATO is one of those things that, first of all, it's above my pay grade, but second of all, I know that it involves bureaucratic things that will take forever in order to accomplish, because you have so many states that have to vote and decide on whether or not you do that. I don't even know if they've ever done that in their history.
I don't think so.
I mean, if you were to ask me, okay, well, what do you think's going to happen? I would suggest that I don't. This is just an opinion. There's all kinds of fucking pundits and experts out there that'll tell you what's going to happen. The Western world does not want to get into heavy metal warfare with Putin because he's fucking crazy and he might use the nuclear option. So I think, unfortunately, that Ukraine will fall, and then you're going to see the beginning of an insurgency. And in the long game, Putin's going to lose because the people of Russia won't accept it, or the CIA will take him off the board, or whatever. But the long game, there's no way that the West, the people of Ukraine, or the Russian people are going to say, okay, yeah, you got it. It's yours. Fuck it. We're going to let it go. There's no scenario where that happens.
Well, just to recap what you're saying, I mean, this isn't just like the Ukraine that has had enough of this. They're legitimately protesting on the streets of Russia, like today, because Russian citizens don't want war. And it's not, and when I say protesting, like, they're not protesting, Putin. They're protesting the fact they don't want war. And do you know what's happening here? Do you know what's happening in Russia legitimately right now? I'll play it for you. They are grabbing anybody that has a sign and kicking the shit out of them. They prepped for this. They knew there would be civil unrest if they went into Ukraine because there are millions upon millions of Ukrainians that live in Russia and millions of Russians that live in Ukraine. And on the ground, people in Ukraine are going, I thought you were our brothers. Why are you here? And they're like, I don't know. We got told to take you guys over, so we're taking you guys over. There's a video of a woman.
The trucker convoy conversation makes me even angrier when I see that. Like when you're talking about I don't mean to do that. We shouldn't do that. We shouldn't get fucking scrolled away into that fucking conversation again. But
but you bring up a good point.
We live in a communist country. Go fuck yourselves, all of you. Go fucking eat a dick, every single one of you. It's just it's embarrassing. That we have that group of people in here watching that video. And I said it 100 times when we were going through that. Like, go watch some videos of China. Like, you step outside without a mask in China, they beat you. Then they go grab your family and beat your family in front of you. Right? Like, what do you think this is? Like, where do you think you live? These people are so
One of the
stupid.
things you're seeing, and you bring up a great point, you're seeing a bunch of people, and I noticed it this morning, anti-vaxxers and people that were involved in that movement literally cheering this war on and cheering on Putin. Like literally cheering him on.
Fucking help you pack. Just give me your address.
And my buddy Cowboy Cody put out one of the great videos, and I posted it a little bit earlier today, where he talks about that oppression in the face of legitimate wartime oppression. Watch this.
You guys know me. I usually come on here and I bust a few jokes, but I think it's safe to say if you've watched the news at all tonight, the world is officially changed. My heart is with the people of Ukraine who are currently having to deal with an actual dictator who's launching bombs at their fucking houses. So to all those people that hopped in your vehicles and your big rigs and you rolled out to Ottawa and you pissed off everyone out there and laid on your horn for 20 some odd days, played music and lounged in a hot tub, tell me again how you're so oppressed. Tell me how your freedoms have been taken away. Because while you're fighting to not wear a mask in a Boston Pizza, a mother is holding her child in their basement right now, hoping their house doesn't get hit by a bomb. So please, fucking tell me again how hard it is to live in this great country of Canada.
Yeah.
Fucking kudos to that guy, man.
Yep.
Well said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I'm glad Boston Pizza got a plug too, because they've been struggling since the pandemic started.
Well, and they're
love
not
that
even allowed
pierogi
in a
pizza.
Boston Pizza yet. Yeah, well, it's the best pizza on the planet.
Oh,
The pierogi pizza at Boston Pizza? Yeah. And you know what? A big ups to our Ukrainian friends, too, because the home of the pierogi.
I don't want to hear any of this talking about Boston Pizza being good.
Well, then you haven't had Boston Pizza, which
You
means
need
that
to go
you're
have a listen. You go have a brute. Go have
Show
the
us
brute
on the
and get back
doll.
to me.
where fast food hurt you, Ryan? Like, honestly.
I will.
Are you against everything? Have you had a Boston like this? You know what?
Yes.
Listen, the Arby's shame I can deal with.
Are you forgetting?
I can deal with a lot of your hipster fucking fast food shit. The Boston Pizza Pierogi Pizza, you are a hipster. The Boston Pizza Pierogi Pizza is amazing, Ryan.
He's not a hipster. He's just, you know what he is? He's one of them foodies. He's like a foodie. He's that guy. He's like Army Chris, where
I
made my own.
That'll go into McDonald's and fucking crush a Big
he's
Mac.
a better chef. He could probably make better pizza.
I make my own pierogies and I make my own pizza.
Yeah, do it between you and
100%.
Linz.
Oh,
I
for
would love
sure.
to see
No,
that.
no, all three of us. Dean, you're in.
I'm not doing that.
3-way
Yeah,
cook-off.
yeah. Fuck me, right? Yeah, I'll just fucking sit here.
Well, do you cook?
James, it's not all about you.
Yes,
It looks like you eat a lot of Hungry Man fucking turkey dinners.
dude.
That's
I
what
used to
I would
cook for a
say
living.
too.
All right, James, you're in.
All right, I'm definitely out then.
I have a cooking show. Do you guys remember
What
I put the pork chop thing on the thing?
Yeah, I remember.
I called it "Go Fuck Your Mother Pork Chops." Remember?
What I wanted to say earlier to Chris's point before we got off in the weeds here, because Lachlan got offended about Boston pizza.
That's a good
Well,
pizza.
I was
I
offended
am not
too.
wrong. Everyone has got to be just
There was a
upset about
former foreign affairs official that was on the Jim Richards show today talking about exactly what Chris was saying. The people of Ukraine really enjoy their democracy and they love their freedom. And she said they will topple the regime. They will topple the military. They will take over, but you will not see the people of Ukraine give up. And it will be one of the biggest insurgencies we have ever witnessed in our lifetime. So, being a small little country, the resistance, they will not be met with open arms and Russian flags at all.
Well,
here's
You know,
here's a
things
little
are bad
wrinkle.
in Europe when a war breaks out and people are fleeing to Poland.
Yeah,
I don't think
that's a good point.
Well,
or Romania,
or Lithuania.
Moldova, or anywhere else
can I-
in that region.
Can I ask this?
Yeah,
Because
sure, go ahead.
sorry, Dean. I think my confusion about this this occupation is that I have heard that there is Russian support in the Ukraine, and even trust me when I tell you, I'm the least traveled individual on this panel. But I went to Hungary at Christmas to spend some time with my daughter, who is dancing for a
Oh, that's right there,
contemporary
dude.
ballet.
You were right there a couple
I don't want
months
to talk
ago.
about that right now because that's I'm very upset about this whole thing because of that. But
Is she still there? Your daughter still there?
yes,
Oh fuck!
They'll
Sorry.
be fine. They're not going to fuck with Hungary. Don't worry.
No,
about
no.
that.
well, you know what's interesting though, we had a tour guide who took us up to the highest point in Hungary, in Budapest, and we went on like this paid thing, and it was a really cool day, and we went up to this castle, and we got a really good dose of history from him, and there was a Russian that was on the tour with us who spoke perfect English, and every time I asked a question about like anything that leaned sort of political, he would kind of look over at the Russian guy. And then when I got him by myself, I kind of asked, I said, is there a lot of support for Russia? And he goes, yes and no. He said, we really depend on Russia in this part of Europe. And there is a faction of the population, old school faction of the population, that is very sympathetic to what Russia brings to the table culturally and politically and economically. And I mean, I just assume that extends into the Ukraine. So this conversation about whether or not Russia would be welcome with open arms, I think is a little bit more complicated than we might know, just based on what is obvious division in our own damn country. I'm guessing it probably exists in the Ukraine.
Yes, but you need to rewind the clock back a billion years and understand that the Ukraine has always been part of that greater Russian area anyway, right? So I'm not going to get into history here. So
It's like Labrador to Canada. You know what I mean? Like in the sense
great
that,
analogy, James. Yeah,
yeah, like it's just there's a lot of old Russian blood in the Ukraine. That's why they would receive
sure.
support.
So talking about a resistance, is that a little bit premature?
no,
Dude, it's on. It's on.
Yeah,
I
it's
read
already
a
there.
story today, and I wanted to ask you about this, Chris. Back to the resistance, and nice segue, gentlemen. I love a good segue. Love a good segue. But a good segue into this is, I read a story this morning about a whole bunch of expats, like Canadian expats that live in Europe, that spent time in the military, that are not just thinking about answering the call; they're just going. That have like roots in that area of the world. Is that what we're going to see happen? Are we going to see former military guys join like citizen brigades, kind of like they did back in like Italy and Spain, like 70, 80 years ago?
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah, is that what we're going to see? Like a
literally-
world
literally-
army of volunteers go, fuck it, I'm in. I'm going to help fight the Russians.
just yesterday, a very close friend of mine for well over since 1988, so that long. His family, he still has family in the Ukraine. He's ex-military. He's one of the fucking most brilliant military-minded guys I know, hard hitter. He's already rallying guys to go over there. He said, and I thought,
wow.
I said he was kind of drunk. So I talked to him the next day, right? And he goes, no, this is legit. I'm going. He goes, I trained my whole life. He spent half his life training to fight Russians, never came to that, released from the CF. And he said, I'm fucking going. That's one guy that I knew in one day. So you spread that across the world. I promise you, the resistance and the insurgency that's going to come out of this is going to be, it's one thing to have an insurgency and try to feed that insurgency from the Western standpoint in the Middle East or Southwest Asia. When it's in Europe, they will be able to feed that beast, and you'll never see a NATO uniform guy in there. But fuck, man, they will. That resistance is going to be the biggest mistake. History will look back at Putin's decision, and the Russian people will go, "Fuck, we shouldn't have did that." That's coming. It's coming. Starting, as Dean alluded to, it's starting now.
Yeah.
Day one.
Yeah. Yeah, which kind of excited me. Like I started thinking about myself
Not
in
me.
that situation, right? And I'm like, I would never do that. But like, there are people that like these people that are signing up, and I go back to that video of everybody, like hundreds of thousands of people. They've been training citizen armies for the last 2 months.
Yep.
In blocks of like 1,000 people. They get a street party together. They teach them how to throw grenades, how to pull the pin out of a flashbang, how to hide around a corner.
It's like a block party in St. Albert.
Ages of people that were there
Right here.
between the ages of 16 to 85. I saw a 79-year-old woman on the ground in like a really nice parka with a Stalishnikov rifle learning how to fucking fire it. And I'm like, these people don't give two fucks. Like, I don't even know if Putin counted on that. Like, counted on the fact that the Ukrainian people don't like being told what to do by anybody, and their sovereignty is like the most important thing to them, right?
Well,
like, I don't think he counted on that.
His ego predicted the outcome. Like, because he fucking believes that the Ukrainian people want what he's doing, and he's doing it aggressively. He thinks he's going to go in, bring them to their knees, and they're all going to bow down and roll into the Russian paradigm, and that they'll be a buffer state under Russian rule, and they'll be cool in the gang. Fucking no. So guess what, bud? It's on.
Do you think that maybe that what we're looking at though is like, so the first one was Crimea, and he annexed Crimea, I think it was 2014.
Yeah.
And now this next one, not quite 8 years later. Maybe it's an incremental strategy. Maybe he's only going to swallow a couple swaths and then back out again like he did with Crimea. Because I'm trying to figure out, like, I'm trying to, like, as much as I can without being a military expert, trying to, like, unpack what it would look like for Russia to actually be like, okay, world, we're ready for you. And I just don't know if they would do that. I mean, I don't think Putin's crazy. I think he's mean, and I think he's smart, and I think he's an asshole, but I don't think he's crazy. I don't think he's
You should read his transcript, because those
I think
are the
he does that on
ramblings of a
purpose,
crazy
though.
fuck.
I think
he does that on
James
purpose?
is right.
Perhaps maybe, and this is one of his probably contingency ops, is I took the Crimea. I'm going to take these other little areas that we all agree on with NATO and the UN on the east, where the people allegedly want to are pro-Russia, and we'll stalemate at that point and then recede everything that's happening. That could be an option.
That's what it feels like. I just don't see, like, we've been dealing with Putin for what, 18, 20 years? I don't know.
You're a little bit of a commie there, right, James? You're a little bit sympathetic to.
Yeah, well, listen, I belong to the Dean Blondell Network, and one must make appearances.
I feel like sometimes because of the things that we attack, or the things that we get after, you feel like it's your job to kind of be that thing that sticks out and is like, hey, everybody, I'm not with these guys, even though I'm with these guys.
Someone's got to be right,
Oh, I'm ready for the trolls, Dean. All those trolls that are coming at you. Well, yeah, go click my link, fucker. Come and get
Did
me.
you notice that they're gone? Did you guys notice that all the trolls disappeared over the last couple
The
of days?
head troll called and said, we got other shit to go fuck
Pivot.
with. We got to go.
Pivot.
They're busy blowing up the Ukraine.
They are. They are, but they found time to come into our comment section, which was nice. Lynn's just put this in our DMs. My God, this is so good, Scott says. Sammy, who I'm thinking might be a Russian asset, kill yourself, losers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sammy,
just
go
love.
change out your tampon.
How did he know what my weekend plans were?
Oh, dude, and we've been inundated like the last, I would say 4 months, obviously. 4 months. You're not killing yourself this weekend, are you?
No.
So,
it's like
Sammy, you're the
Tuesday.
last troll. Fuck, the rest of you guys have a lack
Yeah.
of conviction, if you will.
But
Or Sammy
literally,
didn't
it
get
all
the memo.
dried up. The second that they attacked Russia, all the trolling dried up, all of it. It just fucking disappeared. It was absolutely amazing.
I realize I probably shouldn't be basing any decisions that I need to make for my own family on my involvement in this podcast, but based on my situation with my daughter, because she lives in Budapest, and I talked to my wife when I got home, and I basically said, well, I'm going to call my daughter and just see how she's feeling and see if anybody's talking about this. And they're talking about it, but there doesn't seem to be any concern right now. And then my wife is like, well, don't scare her. I'm like, well, Russia just invaded the country next to her.
Well, Locke, you know what's funny? I texted Grant because his sister's in Moldova and said, you need to get your sister should get the fuck out of there. And he goes, oh, she thinks it'll be okay. And I said, that's like fucking a chick with no condom and not worrying about it.
It's exactly like that.
Right? No, Moldova is also not a fucking member of NATO, and it's a little fragment south of Ukraine that
Hungary
could
is.
easily be potentially, but that's a NATO country. Potentially Moldova, they could just go grab that up. They're like, fuck it, while we're here, let's go grab that. It's like walking into
Lachlan,
Costco.
I've been in that exact situation that you're in right now. Exact situation. My wife and her mom were in Kenya on their way to Egypt on the very day that the Arab Spring started. And she got to her hotel. She was holed up in her hotel for 2 days. Bunch of shit going. You saw Egypt. She was a block away from Tahrir Square, which is where it all kind of went down and fomented and everything. And she had to get out of there. The things that you actually do is you call the Foreign Affairs office and wherever she is, and you talk to them and you ask them preemptively, what should we do in case of this? What should we do in case of that? So that she has those answers before she needs them. And then she's able to sort of from there.
That's actually a good idea.
Figure out if she should go
Well,
home.
I mean,
hang on.
the reason why I'm even
stuck
more
on the
bothered
idea
now.
that James called to make sure his wife and her mom was okay.
It was in year 1 in my defense.
Sorry, Locke, go ahead.
Now he's booking
was
her a
just-
plane ticket to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to
Honey,
Ukraine, baby?
I got this
Really?
great
There.
trip. The wine.
Odessa is lovely this time of year. buddy.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about going to Kiev?
So
Anyway,
was
Taiwan
Dubrovnik in
as well.
Good
1992.
chicken.
Yeah.
anyway,
go ahead, Locke.
I find it a little bit disconcerting, I guess, just the resistance conversation, because I was under the impression that that maybe they would take over the Ukraine and that there would be, maybe the dust would settle and then the rest of the world would figure out how to handle it. But yeah, watching videos of people walk into police stations, at 65 years old and grab a gun and then head back home.
Little
and
like
they're-
target practice after. Can you imagine that happening in this country where the prime
their
minister is like,
Peugeot.
everyone
Well-
go, imagine this for a second, because this is what's happening. It's so far away from us that we don't understand it. But imagine this for a second. If Quebec had succeeded and they started to attack us, and with the help of a few foreign assets, because it's not Belarus is involved, Iran is involved. This is a fucking war. And can you imagine for a second if a tweet came out from the Prime Minister's office or the government of Canada, and it said, right now, everybody find a place to hide in the subway or underneath the ground. And if you're not hiding underground, can you please come and get a weapon?
Randy Hilliard would be
It's
like,
just fun.
you can't tell me
Let's
what
go."
to do.
Wasn't that what they did when they deputized all those people at the clown convoy?
No.
Well, I'll tell you
Isn't that
guys,
the same thing.
you guys spent a lot of time on this podcast shit talking Alberta. You might be on your own. I think I'm going to be just sit back
Do you
and
have
drinking
any
a
idea
beer.
how many guns there are within my vicinity right now because of where I
Oh yeah,
live?
we don't. In Alberta,
don't
we
have the
need
oil?
to Go get guns.
Yeah.
We already
Yeah.
got them.
Yeah, they got him already. It's all right. I know, it's just fascinating. I mean, it's a weird fucking time. And one of the weird things that struck me today was like the conversation that's going around with Russian NHL players right now. I read an article today because this is still Alexander Ovechkin's Instagram account profile picture, him with Putin, and loves Putin. As a matter of fact, started a I Love Vladimir Putin website that it was largely responsible for sustaining him overseas. And so now there's this conversation going around because Ovechkin is very good friends with Putin, and Putin's a dictatorial asshole who legitimately just invaded a country. And they're like, someone's going to ask him about that in a presser, like in a post game. They're going to say, can you talk about your relationship with Putin? Like, this isn't, and this is an awful human rights thing. But like and it touches Canada a little bit, and it touches our interest because Panarin was targeted by Putin and his forces for speaking out against Russian control. If you remember, a couple of years ago, he took like half the year off to go and hide his family somewhere in parts unknown. And then you've got Ovechkin, who's a massive Putin fan, and then you got Malkin, who doesn't say a fucking word. I mean, these are some of the best hockey players in the NHL, and they're legitimately part of this conversation now, which is like, what do you do when they approach a microphone and a reporter's like, hey, Ovechkin, talk to us about the guy that legitimately just raised an entire peaceful country with a massive armed insurrection into that country. Like, I find there's so many different parts to us kind of discussing it, but the ramifications of this, because of how embedded Russia and Russians are in Western culture, our sports, our education system. One of the things that Biden said today is they froze $200 trillion, 200 trillion Russian dollars belonging to like 60 oligarchs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to wonder.
Invest a lot of money
trillion?
overseas,
Sure
right?
Billion?
Something like that. It was like 240 billion or 2 trillion. I can't remember. Billions and trillions and trillions and billions of foreign money. That is literally here on this side. Oh yeah, mine. Billions and trillions. Oh my. But like it is like trying to carve these guys out with sanctions is going to be impossible. It's fucking like he did it right. He's been at this, literally weaving his way into society and making friends like Tucker Carlson at Fox and making people dependent on natural gas for 20 years. This is 20 years in the making, dude. It's got to be, right?
Absolutely.
This is his plan.
He's crazy, but he's not fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anybody heard from Theo Fleury? Isn't he best friends with him? What's old Theo saying today?
Great buddy. You
I
remember
don't
that?
know if Ovechkin. I mean, if that's going to be so difficult for him to answer. Alexander. Russia is involved in this with NATO and Ukraine. What are your thoughts on that? Listen, I just want to play hockey, and whatever's going on in geopolitical stuff. That's
he
not
can't.
really my world.
He can't do that. He can't do that because he is absolutely invested in Putin and his image. He is absolutely one of his guys, so he can't skate on it. Panarin can. Malkin might. Not Ovechkin. Ovechkin is his guy.
So he'll
just
retire,
that's just fucking
take his
unbelievable.
millions and retire. Fucking go. I'm done.
Which is right before he breaks Gretzky's scoring record, which would make me really happy too.
Yeah, good point.
He's gonna get there. He needs a year though. He needs.
But I mean, you know what? Like the good news is this: we don't have to worry about alien invasion anymore after COVID. Now this.
Yeah.
Because if I'm an alien and I'm hovering above this planet, I'm looking at it, I'm like, nope, this place is fucked. We're moving on.
Want to bring my brother into this conversation. He joins us now. His name's Dave Blundell. He has business interests in the Ukraine, so I brought him in to talk about it. Welcome to the show, Dave. Nice to see you.
Hey, Dave.
Good to see you again, Ryan and Lachlan. You just disappeared.
Yeah.
He didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
He hates you.
Yeah, he said he hated you before the
I
show.
was going to get a beer, but
like
I
your
felt
brother's on. I
break
fucking hate
protocol
that
if I
guy.
got off.
No, he's going to get his 28th beer. So just Dave's my brother. Dave runs an international aid organization called Hungry for Life, and has spent many years in Ukraine. And your wife, I believe, my sister-in-law Heidi, just got back last week from that region. Correct?
Correct.
Wow. And what was that like?
For me or her?
Her, not you, dude. I know you.
I watched Netflix.
Yeah, no. She went specifically to take some resources into the country so that we could prepare for what's now happened, and also to get some money in so that we can fund what's going on, what we anticipated would happen. So she made a quick trip into the west. So she went in through Hungary, flew into Bucharest, and did I hear Lachlan say his daughter was there?
Yeah.
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 Huh.
She dances for a contemporary ballet company in Budapest.
Very
And
cool.
has been there for a year now. So she's potentially done there. Like her contract's up. But it's up in the air. But maybe not. Maybe
Okay.
not now.
Yeah, so Bucharest is kind of the major city near to where our staff are, and it's just far away from the eastern part and where Russia's taken over. But they are, they've hit everywhere in the country, and the only province in the country that hasn't been hit by Russia yet are where they are in the far west. So they're half an hour away from the Hungarian border. So Heidi went in, dropped off some stuff, and then got out. Came home a week ago.
Yeah, but like a little bit of history, Dave. Like you set up orphanages over there. You feed widows over there, right?
Yeah. So some of our projects, we've been working there for 18 years through local leaders and local organizations, and so those projects have been all the way from orphan and widow care. There's an orphanage that's very close to the conflict right now that are heading west to where our staff is. They're essentially now IDPs or refugees that are heading to the west. Our team there has about 180 people that are heading west right now. So there's orphan care, providing food and care to widows in their homes, and food security projects for a lot of years. What else? Medical care, lots of stuff. We've been involved in mostly in the east, about an hour away from the two taken over republics for a lot of years now. I was in Donetsk a few years ago, checking out what we could do there, and we did some food delivery there as well.
Now you obviously been planning this for a long time since we knew this was going to be happening. But did you picture it being as bad as it actually is?
Yeah, we pictured there being a few possibilities. One of them being just Putin coming in and taking over the Donbass region, where these two provinces are. That he occupied a lot of them since 2014. So we didn't know whether it would be just taking over those areas and incorporating them into Russia, or whether he would launch this all across the country. And so we knew this was a possibility. It was the worst fear, and it has happened.
Okay, so tell me something about the Ukrainian people, Dave. Because we hear like these sordid reports that a lot of Ukrainians are welcoming in Russian troops, want to be saved, want to be part of Russia. But when you talk to the Ukrainian people in the course of the work and the humanitarian effort that you've put in there over the past 20 years, what do they say?
Yeah, in no world is that accurate, that people are welcoming in Russian troops. There are for sure people in the far east, really close to Russia, that speak Russian. They would identify historically as very sympathetic towards Russia. So the closer you get to Russia, there's going to be more Russian-speaking people and people who culturally identify. But Ukraine is a very proud country. They've enjoyed their independence for the last few decades, and this is not something that's welcomed. In fact, it's something that they're claiming they're going to fight against as long as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
How much does the Ukrainian public, how much support do they have for their own government? Is it like here where that they think it's pretty much a joke?
No, I think they're pretty proud of their government. And of course, no government's perfect, but they're pretty proud of President Zelensky and the work that he's done since he was elected a few years ago. I heard one person say it's kind of telling that in all the years that Putin has been a dictator in Russia, Ukraine has had 6 presidents. So tell me who's more democratic in that situation. And that's pretty telling. So
young democracies are usually they're very, very supportive of whoever's in power doing the right things, because they haven't fallen into the ruts that we have, where it's just a way of life and we take it for granted, right? So they've enjoyed it, and most foreign affairs experts are saying that there is no way that they're going to let this. They're not going to give up without a fight, and it's going to be a bad fight.
Even 10 years ago, during the Orange Revolution, there was pro-Russian people in government, and the country rose up and took it back. And so this is worth fighting for. They've done it many times, and I'm sure they're going to do it again to the degree that that's possible.
What's the resolve like, Dave, of those people when you talk to them? You still have some employees that are working in Ukraine, and you still talk to some Ukrainian partners. But what is their resolve? Because the mystery of the words that we're hearing out of Russia totally impact the reality of what's going on. Right? Russia just put out a note a couple hours ago, and they're like, everybody's laying down their weapons. No big deal. We'll be out of here in like 5 minutes. And then you see like bodies of Russian soldiers lined up in front of Ukrainian soldiers who are like, hey, we're still going to fuck this place up if you come in here. So like, what's the resolve like of the people?
Yeah, it's huge. They're super proud of their country and what they've accomplished since their freedom. So their resolve's pretty massive. And again, as I said, they fought for it many times, and they're going to fight for it again. So yeah, they're a pretty proud people, and they should be for all that they've accomplished since they broke away from Russia.
Locke, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's perfectly okay. I just the reason why I asked the question about the government is it's odd that he played a leader, a president on a TV show, and then became that's the narrative that we have here in North America, right? Not knowing the sort of the ins and outs of his experience politically, but that just doesn't speak well to experience or respect from the people. No,
sure. There's other countries that elect celebrities and TV personalities as well that are well-established democracies, but Ukraine had gone through a time that didn't apparently go very well. So it's not just young democracies that do it.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's irrelevant now because they have a common thing to rally around, right? So it doesn't matter how much he fucked up, whatever he did. And I know nothing about it, so we're clear. So
did we here in Canada. Like all those truckers, they went to fight for our freedoms in Ottawa, and it was a real rallying point. Got us all on the same.
It rallied us all right. It rallied us all right.
If this shit was happening in Canada and Trudeau, as much as we fucking hate him, and I don't want to go that deep, and said we're gonna fucking fight. Trust me, all the other bullshit would go aside. They have a common thing to rally around the people of that country, and they're gonna go.
Good. That's good to hear. I have a question about for you, Dave, about the possibility of Ukrainians coming to Canada as refugees. One of the statements that our fearless leader just made on his press conference was they were going to do it. They were setting up posts on the borders of the surrounding countries to get Canadians still left in the Ukraine out as quickly as possible. And then they were expediting the process of coming to Canada for Ukrainians. Have you had any discussion with the people that you're associated with about the possibility of maybe coming here to Canada based on that announcement?
No, not based on that announcement. In fact, the people that are there are our staff. They are Canadians. They're from Chilliwack. Our staff member's wife is from Ukraine, but their daughter's Canadian. They're all Canadian, and they're specifically wanting to stay because they're in a very unique position to help a lot of people based on the resources that we can get them. And they've got family there. Mary's family is from all over the Western Ukraine, and she's got family members fairly close to the conflict right now. And how could you just say, I'm out of here because I have a Canadian passport and zip across the border into Hungary when all of your family members don't have that same ability? So they said, we have the ability to help. We have the ability to support the people who are around us. And we couldn't in good conscience leave. They're not protecting their own safety at the expense of the survival of the people who are family and friends around them.
I guess you got to like your family, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah. That helps.
Are they scared? Your employees that are still there waiting this whole thing out, are they have you talked to them? Have they heard like the sounds of bombs going off? Because it's all we see.
Yeah, no, again, they're in the province that hasn't been hit yet, but they're getting reports from all over the country that bombs are falling. I asked him, we just did a Facebook Live thing with him here an hour ago, and I said, what emotions are you experiencing right now? And it's all a range of emotions. It's sadness, it's anger, it's rage, it's worry, because now they're talking about conscription. So people, our staff members' family around them who are all, young men and even teenagers are looking at the likelihood of general conscription. And then it gets real, when the neighbor who's a family member besides you gets conscripted into the army with no training whatsoever, and they're sent to go fight Russia, then that's not a great proposition. So they're experiencing all range of emotions, and they're taking it day to day as it unfolds.
Fucking fascinating. That's my brother, Dave Blundell. He runs an organization called Hungry for Life, where he runs around the world feeding people, helping little kids that don't have a chance, and widows, and just, the good stuff. He does all the good stuff for the world, which is why I asked him to be part of this. By the way, last question, and I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Did you send Dad did you call him on his birthday a couple days ago or no?
I did. He was a little distracted based on...
Oh, he's helping Grandma move?
Yeah, he was helping Grandma move, but they arrived here safely, and we're going to celebrate his birthday later this week.
Are they in Chilliwack now?
Yep.
Oh, bud, give him a big hug and a kiss and a little ball tap, too, for me. Give him a little flick.
Do you know Brienne from Chilliwack? We've all been looking for a Brienne from Chilliwack.
Go after her, Dave.
Yeah.
Get her.
Is she in your organization?
Get her.
Brienne? Has she
No,
been hiding with you?
I don't know a Brienne, and I'm not commenting on that.
Wow. I love how every family has like one that's really good, like Dave, and then Dean.
Yeah.
No.
I embrace it.
Yeah, he
I embrace it.
And I embrace him.
I
embrace him because he has a huge heart, as we've all seen.
See, I have a huge heart.
Look at that.
Fuck you guys and your little hearts.
I created that compliment. What are you talking about?
Blundell's have big hearts. You guys are fucked. There
Dave,
you go.
is there a website we can check out your organization at, or?
Yeah, hungryforlife.org, and there's a link
hungryforlife.org.
to where people are able to, and we were able to get money there super fast.
Can we donate? You've got a way to get people money. And listen, I want to tell you about my brother. First of all, he is the nicest human being you've ever met. 100% of the money that he takes in goes directly to projects and directly to what you want it to go to. He is not we charity. This guy lives below his means so that other people can live above theirs. And his goal is to save lives. That's it. His goal is to save lives and help people, which is why we're so incredibly proud of him and our family. But can you just give people the information on how they can help donate and what they can donate to?
Yeah, sure. Someone's asking to put the page up or a link.
That's
We'll
us.
get Rook to do that. We'll get that.
We'll do
that,
it.
Dave.
Yeah.
All right, it's the URL is hungryforlife, all one word, .org, and it'll be right there.
All right.
Now, these people have been through a lot. You're not feeding them like Arby's and Boston Pizza, I hope. Like
No.
they've already suffered enough.
No, it's great
Let
food.
it go.
He's never had a Boston
Ryan.
Brute.
You've never had a Boston Brute. You never had a pierogi pizza.
You know what the irony of this is? You used to be 600 pounds, weren't you? Like,
Yeah. There's a reason why I'm not anymore.
That's right.
I don't eat trash like you guys. Bunch of trolls.
Yeah, you have to hate that too now. Like if you're
right.
it's like dating a lot of really slutty women and then not liking slutty women anymore because you've gone through it.
Thanks,
Came
buddy.
out the
yeah,
other end.
exactly.
Yeah. Dave, thanks for doing this. I love you.
Thanks,
I'll talk to you
Dave.
soon.
Good to see you, Dave.
Great to see you all. Nice to meet you guys.
All right.
See you, buddy.
Thank you, Dave.
Nice to
All right.
see you, Dave.
There you go. Dave Blundell, the nice one. Did you notice?
Is he
least
the
you
same
bought
brother
in.
that was on when there was the flooding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Okay.
Did you notice how dark his hair is at the age of 50?
I
Did you
noticed
notice that?
I noticed that
No,
you guys
because I've
both
been looking at
are on the same
Ovechkin
haircut
and Putin
schedule,
on my
apparently.
screen for the last 20 minutes.
Sorry, who wants to redo that? I didn't understand anybody.
It feels like you and him go to the same guy, though.
Like for a
Same
barbershop?
barber.
Yeah.
At least
No,
on the
he
same
lives in
timetable.
BC, dude.
Oh.
I ripped to the mall and got my haircut yesterday because my kid was getting his haircut. But that's what I have to deal with. Every time I show up, my dad's got dark hair. I've got like Arctic blonde hair. My brother's got dark hair. I look like I'm fucking 900 years older than my brother and my dad.
Well,
Where's
you know
he
what it
in
is?
BC? Chilliwack?
Yeah.
Oh, ask him if he knows Brandy from the Jolly Miller. He lives in a trailer park. Long story.
It's the most trailer park thing I've ever heard.
You should spend a day here, James.
What's her middle name?
We'll go hang out
Lynn.
with Army Chris.
I don't know her
now.
last name, man.
Lynn.
I don't know her last name. No kidding.
People from trailer parks don't normally have them.
Yeah, we could probably move on.
Yeah.
Her voice is always muffled for some reason. I don't get it.
You don't want to talk about your tryst with Brandy from the trailer park in Chilliwack, British Columbia? That's fine with me.
Save
We
it
don't
for
have to
another
talk
show
about it.
because it's a long story.
It's a good thing she's a bad shot, hey, Chris?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, Locke, a quick thing. I know that you put up this picture of you in your underwear next to Jude Law. 'Cause you
I
said
have
you had
Jude Law's body.
No, you don't.
I do.
But I got another picture. So someone put this up, and I laughed my ass off because I'm like, this Locke will love this. You know how Pete Davidson was able to corral Kim Kardashian, and it drives you
This
crazy,
is gonna
like
make
makes
me
you
angry.
nuts. No, this is a big Pete Davidson energy, and I love it when guys do this. You know, when regular guys shoot their shot with like supermodels on the internet just by putting something out on their Twitter. Hey, just wanted to see if you're get a load of this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
What the fuck?
Is he going to kill us?
I watched. you
He
on
takes a
TV.
picture of himself sitting on his couch, and he puts the title in the picture, which he then put out on Twitter. Hey, Kim Kardashian, big fan. Watched you on TV and followed you online. Wish you good luck in the future, dude. That's how
My
guys
favorite
like
movie is The Joker.
He's wearing a
Pete
human
Davidson
mask.
get laid. That's what I'm saying. This guy shot his shot with Kim Kardashian. And Pete Davidson made this guy think that it's fucking entirely possible she might just hit him back on the DM.
No, there's something
There-
more going on there. Look at that
There
eye.
is no
That's a
way that
droopy
guy
eye.
doesn't
That's a head
smear
injury.
lipstick all over
Yeah.
his face every
He's got-
single
That's
night.
an ABI.
That guy used
not
to be a
possible.
bike delivery person, and he got hit by a cab.
Yeah,
That
that's
guy-
ABI.
No, there's no way that there's.
Dude, this is the
Someone-
Pete Davidson effect. That's what I'm saying is Pete Davidson gives
I
guys
get
like
that.
this all kinds of juice to go, you know what? I'm going to see if Kim wants a piece of me online.
Someone
And
helps
I
him get on a
fucking love
bus.
it.
This is the
Somebody
guy whose
helped him
picture is
get-
always on the true crime shows I watch. On Netflix.
His couch
He's got a
smells like
scar on the
cat
back
litter.
of his head where the doctor went in to relieve pressure.
Yeah,
There's nothing short of that. That's
That's
not
not
his
even his-
couch.
that's not his face.
mom's couch.
That's his mom's face too. I think. Look at his neckline there. I think that's a skin mask.
How many heads has he have in his freezer? Do you
I'm
think?
with Ryan on that. Exactly.
Holy fuck! Look at that guy.
I wonder how many times he got the hose again.
Let's go back to Lachlan and Jude Law.
Yeah.
So,
This
Lachlan,
picture?
listen,
Speaking of
Lachlan,
hotties,
if
Same
you
body.
go to sackjack.com, I can get you a BOGO code.
Okay, I actually do. I have looked into the sack jack
I'm
because
sorry,
it's
what?
definitely something
A
that
what?
I need to.
What is it?
Jack
Is it
Sack
Nicholson.
Jack?
I wouldn't Google
Sack
that
Jack.
'cause it has multiple meanings.
Hashtag locker room? What?
No,
Locker room sack
if
jack?
you-
I don't know.
Jack Nicholson apparently had some issues with testicular sagging, and he went in and got a procedure done where they tighten up the balls so that they're a little bit closer to the taint.
Yeah.
And he was talking about it with somebody, and he called it a sack jack. And I think because his name is Jack Nicholson too, he thought it was funny. And
Yeah.
so I've always referred to what is an actual procedure.
Ball lift.
Yeah, a ball lift. I've always referred to it as a sack jack. But if you look in the urban dictionary meaning of it,
Yeah.
it is not.
Because that's what I do on a nightly basis is head over to the
Absolutely.
Urban Dictionary for cool
Anyway,
phrases.
it's not what I'm suggesting it is. So I've gotten in trouble a couple of times by referring to my pending surgery, sack jack, to tighten the balls up.
You don't
There-
even need it.
We're getting to a point. Like, here's where
Actually,
I'm at.
sackjack is the BOGO code. I was wrong. It's not the URL.
Well, that's the buy one,
That's
get
what
one
you got
free
to
code.
use when you get to it.
Sackjack.
Type in sackjack, 10%.
Yeah, you know
off
how
your
like
first
when you
one.
order underwear from edsfineimports.com and you use promo code GITCH3
Yeah.
and you get an extra pair of underwear, you'll get a discount on your testicular lift
Yeah.
when you use Sackjack. Or you can use this, which is fascinating. It's also called the Sackjack. This is something that you can put your entire junk in,
Yeah.
and it trains your nuts to not be so long.
Okay.
Also called the sack jack. I just discovered this earlier today.
I'm gonna suggest that might be a little uncomfortable.
You might be
Why
right.
don't you, Lachlan,
I don't know
brand
if I
your
wanna
own
sleep with
surgery?
it.
We got to get that and get a
Brand your
picture
own
of Locke
surgery, buddy.
wearing
Make
that.
it like the Lachlan cock lock or something. Like you got to figure it out because you've come this far. You need to get a surgery named after you. I think that's only right.
Yeah.
If you do this, you have to make sure you do it at a hospital that has a burn unit because you could help dozens of people.
You know how many
Dozens.
new ears you could give people?
Yeah, the amount
new
of
eyelids.
the amount of
thousands.
They need
lobes we could
curtains in
produce.
the nursery.
New eyelids.
Yeah, another
Thousands of new eyelids you could give people. Thousands.
You know, the hospital could use a new pool lining, Lachlan.
Another thing that caught my attention this week, fellas, which was fucking bizarre. Have you seen these new LEBs? They're called light emitting breasts. Have you seen these? Hello.
Oh,
Are they
my.
Hello.
real?
Yeah, these are fucking real.
And they're fantastic. but
This
no, they're
dropped
not.
this week where a German and Chinese prosthetic company have come up with breast implants that you can control the lights inside them and they light up your chest, ladies, and you control it with an app. Like
connect it to your
Okay.
phone.
these are light up
I did
boobs.
some research on this, Dean,
Surprise.
and it's
Why
not
wouldn't you?
actually a thing. So this woman here,
Oh.
she created a device that goes underneath of that outfit and lights them up from underneath.
That's not
So,
true.
Yeah, it is true. If you
Okay,
go
let me
back
play
and
the
watch
Let me play the video. And then
Yeah,
This is a really important discussion.
The
we want to make
video
sure we
that-
get our
This
facts.
was an April
the
Fool's
video
thing, I
that
think.
you're gonna play is
Yeah.
the German company or the Swiss company where the guy's talking about it.
Yeah.
That's an April Fool's Day joke.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that
And
guy's
if you
Pete
look,
Davidson.
if you look in the writing underneath, it says
April
in German
Fools.
April Fool's Day joke.
So these aren't real.
Those aren't real. Those
So Locke,
she-
The Germans
she's
got you,
real.
Dean.
Locke, why do you got to wreck shit for everybody all the time?
Fucking Germans.
Well,
The Germans
because-
got you.
Wait a second. So I read into this. I read
Yeah.
up on the light emitting breast implants. And like, I know the video now. You're telling me it's a joke. It's an April Fool's joke. But then I read a significant portion on this Chinese and German manufacturer that came together to make the first light emitting breast implants. Was that the whole thing was part of this joke?
Okay, well, now hang on. This woman is different from the other video. Now, here's what I think may have happened, and I actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this happened, and maybe that's what you stumbled on. So that in 2021, April 1st, 2021, that company Newman, with the German doctor in the white coat,
Yeah.
he thought it would be funny to create this video, and you touch them and they go different colors and they're controlled by an app. But the thing is it's very believable. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit, I can see people doing this.
Lachlan, if we could put one of those things in your nutsack, you could land aircraft in
Yeah.
bad weather.
Work for the traffic department.
I am not necessarily like I've got enough room in
if
there.
the bulb in Big Ben ever goes out, you'll have a job, my friend.
So I bet you what happened, Dean, is
Someone
it's
went,
been a year now.
Good
Somebody
idea.
probably saw that video and went, hold on, we could do that.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that? Like it
Right.
was a joke, but I bet you we could set this up. Now, this is different. I swear to God, if you look into her, she's got lights underneath, set up underneath of her brassiere. She showed how she did it. She actually, it was in her shed. She was showing how she set it up.
Step by step. 'cause I've watched
she gave
that.
herself
Shed.
breast implants in her shed.
Well, no,
You
she
think
had
that
the breast
chick has a
implants.
fucking shed? She doesn't have a shed.
Guys, there's also safety things that are a benefit with this product. Like if you have an overweight woman and she lives in a bad area of town, and she just lies on her stomach, people just think she's a Honda Civic. It's
Yeah,
great.
that's
It's ground
true.
effects. You know, like they're all driving around with those ground effects.
Makes cycling
This,
at night safer.
Yeah, it sure does. I'm torn now because I think you're right. Like I read an article that legitimately said these things are for real, and
Well-
they plan to like start selling. They started putting them in people. Strangely enough, in China first, where they're
Yeah,
like,
no.
"Fuck, let's see how it goes."
So you can set them up so that they're like notifications as well, right? Your phone rings and it's your mom.
Boobs light up.
You know, they flash red or whatever.
And
Exactly.
if you're a misogynist or like an arms dealer, put a couple of bombs in it, and if she ever steps out of line,
boom,
and she just blows up.
I'll check with
These are all the
Brandy and
things-
Chilliwack and see if this is real.
Oh, there
Yeah.
we go.
Dexter.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
I think it is real. I'm pretty sure it's real now. But I think you're right, Locke. I think they were like, hey, this is a great joke to play on people. And then someone in some
went, "No,
Far
no, I
East
could
country
do
went,
that."
I got an idea.
I
do
could do this.
Yeah.
Yes, I would not be surprised because I
Not a
believed
turn
it.
on.
I was hook, line, and sinker. And then I was talking about it on Twitter, and somebody sent me a note and said, "I know German. The video that you watched, because it was captioned in English."
Yeah.
He goes, "That was an April Fool's Day prank from last year." And I went, "Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense." So that's where I stopped. You went further. You investigated into a Chinese company now getting involved.
Yeah, Chinese companies involved, and they are making these, and I think they're beta testing these. But it doesn't do. I got to tell you, doesn't do anything for me. Like if I met a girl who was like, "Hey, want to see my boobs light up?" I'd probably be like, "Sure," but like, it does nothing for me. I'd rather just see your boobs.
It would have made more sense if they designed the prank to go on a penis, because dildos are already multicolored, and then people
that's
would be
true.
less of a stretch for people. So
Yeah.
There's
I'd
something
color-
intriguing about it. I don't know
color my
what.
wiener.
This is really engaging content. It reminds me of a radio show about 6 years ago called Crosby and Cross. That was the only fucking thing worse than this.
Dude, we
Thanks.
already talked about the skirmish over in the Ukraine. We had my brother on
Now
to
we're on
talk
the
about how we
glow in
can
the
be
dark.
good
Gotta bring this
people.
down, yeah.
Then Locke started talking about his balls in the sack jacket.
Dude, we did
You
a
brought
whole
that
hour
up.
on this yesterday.
You brought
on the
that up,
locker room.
Army
I don't know
Chris.
what
It
you're
wasn't
talking
me.
about.
You fucking brought it up. You're the guy that brought it up. So we just went down the road. So
That's
now
fair.
you can't
That
shut
is
it down.
fair. I'll eat
Okay.
that.
True.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You guys need to behave a little bit better. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I would
Well,
do
that's it
that
for
with
me.
my balls, though, in a heartbeat. If
Would
there
you?
was a sack one,
What?
yeah.
Do what again? Make the
Glow in the
netting
dark
for a
nutsack.
goalie?
Do it.
If I could get glow in the dark nuts,
A
absolutely.
tether ball. Oh my God, you can. I like the ones that the kids run around and you bat it. No,
They would look like the side of the fucking Telus building at Christmas.
Do you imagine wearing white linen pants on Christmas Eve?
Your
With like
balls
red
lit
and
up,
green.
they flash.
You go, Merry Christmas, honey.
They go to the tunes.
You can change
Yeah, would
it with
have
the
to
app.
play music too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan,
well, you
that's a
can. My
nice
son has
touch.
lights. My son has lights in his room, and they bounce to the music. The lights bounce to the music in his room. You could do the exact same thing.
It
That little
doubles
rush.
as a
Bring it-
Bluetooth
Should we
speaker.
bring a tent to the beach in case it rains? No, Lachlan's coming. Oh, okay.
That's right.
you'll be
Why?
fine.
Why is Lachlan always wearing white pants? Turn the lights out
You guys want to see a really neat trick?
and turn on Elvis.
He watched the Miami Vice Marathon and, you know.
Why are his sleeves rolled up?
All right, boys.
I'll bet
Well,
you
thanks.
this, Locke, did you have a gray thin leather tie and shit? I would like to see you in
I
1984.
never really. I was sort of a t-shirts and cons kid because I was like I thought I was cool and I listened to 70s music and I never really bought into the hair thing. But I did have a pair of mesh shoes and I had a pastel jacket and I did have a leather tie with the zipper thing.
Yes,
or
you
whatever.
did.
Yeah.
Yes, you
That was
did.
like
That's what he
Did
got
Did you have
married
a
in.
bolo tie? Did you remember those bolo ties that were super cool?
No,
I bet you James
never-
had like 30 of them.
James had the bolo ties. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
James, unfortunately, his parent, like his mom, made his clothes until he was like 11. So
Is that
Not
true?
true. I shoplifted my clothes. What are you talking about?
not James. No. I thought you were talking about
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy. Oh, his
Yeah.
mom bathed him. That's what I read yesterday too. Did you guys? Because Tucker Carlson's been going on about Canada. Yesterday, I read this is a true story. Because he's like, Canada sucks. Putin's the best. Fucking hate that guy so much. It's
Oh, no
unbelievable.
shit.
But I did some reading on him. Did you know that he's from the Swanson chicken family? Like he's the heir to the Swanson chicken family. And did you
I know
also
he has
know?
money.
Oh yeah, loaded.
Wow.
Did you
loaded.
also know that Tucker Carlson's mother admitted in an interview some time ago that she bathed him personally until he was 18?
Come
Shut
on.
up.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's all in the name, isn't it, guys?
It really is, eh?
Bathed him till he was 18 by herself.
Tucker.
True story.
Time for
And
a
took
bath.
his temperature rectly till he was like 16.
That
every
explains
night,
a
just to
lot,
make sure
actually.
he's
Tuck.
okay.
That's
Tucker
disturbing.
meat tuck.
Yeah,
That
did.
does.
Poor
I'm
man.
Every
more
night.
worried about the Loblaws
Feel
is
sorry
having
for
a
Tucker
war with Frito-Lays, and I'm concerned I'm not going to be able to get my potato chips.
I just
Yeah.
went to a Shoppers Drug Mart, and it's the fucking shelf is bare. It looks like
Buddy,
COVID
we
all
got
over
a
again.
Potato chip crisis, and I eat
Yep.
potato chips in bed. Maybe that's why I'm single. But anyway, fuck yeah!
Well, I
like,
think it's
there's a
probably a
legit
few
potato
reasons.
chip war going on here.
We'll call it that.
The world's upside down.
What, is there a potato chip shortage? Is there really?
No, it's Loblaws is fighting with
Frito-Lays.
Frito-Lay
Frito,
with
yeah.
their money. They're saying that they're charging too much money on the back end for their chips. So now they said, fine, fuck it,
I did
just
see
don't
some
buy our
about that.
chips. Yeah, so
Chip prices
Fortino's,
have gone up. I've noticed.
Loblaws, Canadian Superstore, the Shoppers Drug Mart, they all have no ruffles
There's a
now.
fucking chip war? Are you serious?
There's
a
a chip
legit
war.
chip war going on.
Fuck
All
Russia.
this stuff.
Jesus
you know
Christ.
how fucked. I'll tell you something. The
hands on
world is
deck.
such a fucking mess because I spent like a month, like involved in this convoy stuff. I didn't even know what else was happening outside of my life. I'm like, oh, just convoy stuff. That's it. And then all of a sudden, the convoy stuff ends. We get out of the pandemic, and which, by the way, I never
Out of the
liked
frying
mandates
pan into the
anyways.
fire.
But we get out of the pandemic, and all of a sudden we got to do an hour on like a warfare in the Ukraine because there's a fucking war, which is bizarre. Like it's like all this shit is so heavy we can't get away from it. I was
But good news.
sitting there. What's that?
Good news.
What's that?
Jimmy's brother in Tabor works for Lay's, so we can get bootleg potato chips. And we have. We got a box of potato chips. Locke can attest to this, where there was flavors of potato chips we never even
heard
of, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
ketchup?
There's a whole thing going on. There's potato chips out there you can't get here, but we got a guy. And
So not only is there a potato chip war, where certain stores refuse to sell potato chips that belong to Frito-Lay, they're holding out flavors of chips. Is that what I'm understanding?
absolutely.
Which
they are.
flavors are we talking about?
I don't
They
even know they
were-
were so weird. There was like
They
a
were
box
there
of
was
about 15 different bags of shit.
like a butter chicken and all these fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have those
international
here.
Flavors you never see here.
Yeah, they have them here.
Like,
yeah,
yeah, like
they're
even
starting to
like-
slowly roll them out.
Go down to the United States, you can't get ketchup chips down there.
No,
all
or
my American
dressing.
friends are like, bring ketchup chips. I'm like, what?
The
And you know,
worst
we
chip
never
in the
say to our
fucking
American
world.
friends,
It is.
I agree with Dean.
bring pork rinds. We never say that to them because
Well, you can get pork rinds anywhere.
No, piggy
Who the
puffs.
fuck-
I love them.
On a scale of 1 to 10, ketchup chips are fuck you.
Yeah,
They're the worst. Like
Yeah, they're
anytime
fucking
someone
horrible.
says, you know what I could really go for is a bag of ketchup chips,
They don't even
I don't
taste
even
like
want to
ketchup.
hang out with that person.
Why do they
I
love
want
tyranny?
nothing to do with someone that likes ketchup chips. Yeah, why?
they get
Why
all
do you
over
like
your
dictator
shit.
chips?
dictator chips.
Yeah, dictator chips.
Yeah, listen, if you guys run out of chips, call us. Look, Jimmy's got a guy. We got a guy for chips.
RV Chris always has a guy. If we need
I do
smokes,
have
you
a
need
guy.
chips, you need
I got
booze,
meat.
call Chris.
I
got a meat guy?
bootleg- I got a meat guy. I got bootleg fucking nicotine things.
Do you have
for
a
the
shovel and cement guy with no questions asked guy?
GM me?
Curious.
Hit me up on
you might.
Gab.
I think you
That
might.
guy
Yeah.
doesn't talk to us anymore.
Oh, and a divorce lawyer if that doesn't.
GM me on Trump's new Freedom Media platform.
Yeah, by the way, did
Did
you
you-
see that? Have you guys
my
signed up for
God.
the Truth Network yet? The Trump
No, but
platform?
did you hear about him getting trolled?
No,
Truth
what happened?
So
Media,
s-
that's what it's called.
So somebody at the same time released a spoof app that had a bunch of options that you had to pay for, like extra add-ons, and literally like duped like 29,000 people into like buying because they thought they were supporting Trump, and it wasn't. It was just a fucking grift. It was a gag that just stole all these Trump supporters' money. It's fucking amazing.
Do you know how much it
Ring
costs?
those phones.
Do you know how much it costs to join Trump's Truth Network? So here's a great story.
We tried
$4.99 a week. $4.99 a week
A week?
to be on the
Are
week.
you serious?
Does he
20
have
bucks a
phone
month.
sex with you too? Jesus, like
First
so
week
expensive.
he came out. You know how many people joined the Truth Network? 170,000. 170,000
Holy
people
They
paying
crashed it.
$20 a month.
Did they get
170,000 in the
I wonder
first
if they
week.
had a BOGO code.
I don't know. But do you know what the rules are for the Truth Network, the Trump social media platform? Do you know what the
You
rules are?
can't make
you
fun
can't
of 'em.
insult
Can't make
him.
fun of him.
That's it. That's the
Yes.
only rule.
It's all about freedom of speech, but don't make fun of
Yeah.
the dear leader.
Yeah, you can't ask him why he has small hands.
Yeah. Or a mushroom
ask about the
penis, whatever that
diapers.
means.
$4.99 a month. Whatever you do, though, don't say anything negative about Trump because they'll just pull it. Fucking wild.
It's
It is.
crazy.
What a
world we live
fucking
in.
world.
Infiltrate
Yep.
this network.
I
man.
think he could double those membership numbers if he did offer some phone sex. I'm just saying. I think there's people that would buy phone
James,
sex.
let's get out of your sexual fantasies and stay with the program.
These are not my sexual fantasies. I'm just
Feels
thinking
like
like a
they are.
businessman. That's
Thinking
Okay.
outside the box.
thinking like a businessman.
Yeah, he is. Anyway, boys, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. Great to see everybody today. Really thankful that Army Chris could join us. His podcast is called Fire for Effect. He does a tremendous job where he gets vets together to talk about this kind of stuff. I assume
Great
you're going to be
show.
doing another one on Ukraine and the Russian-Ukraine
Fuck,
conflict.
apparently so, yeah.
Yeah.
Wednesday
tonight-
nights you go live, right?
Wednesday nights, every Wednesday night, 1800, which is 6 o'clock for you civvies, Mountain Standard Time. So what is that, 8 p.m. Eastern Time?
Yeah.
I'm
All
trying
right.
to deconflict with everybody else on the network.
Yeah, no problem. It's a great podcast, and you guys really get into the weeds when it comes to warfare. Which is last question I wanted to ask you. We've come so far in like 30 years. The hand-to-hand stuff. We haven't seen people fighting each other in the streets in a long time. Are we going to see some of that? Like, what does warfare look like in 2022 when it comes to this kind of war?
I'll tell you what, okay. So they came in a conventional method that would, what the Ukraine military would be doing right now is going back to old school heavy metal warfare, where it's large amounts of armor and artillery supported by fast air attack helicopters going one-on-one and seizing and holding ground. Unfortunately, Ukraine won't win that war, and then that'll evolve into the more insurgency type thing that we're used to seeing by the bad guys. And I guess my last message on that was, the people of Russia better have a look at the 1980s in Afghanistan and how fucking bad that ended for Russia. And I spent 2 tours in Afghanistan. And the further you go north, you see graveyards of literally tons and tons of Russian armor rusting and rotting. And you will see that in the Ukraine over the next few years. Promise you.
Wow.
So
It's
it
gonna
won't be
awesome.
it won't be combat by spicy memes and bad hashtags. That's how everybody fights now, right?
Dude, they're doing that part. Like, one of the things I was
Yeah.
watching today was the cyber warfare bit that these guys are up to, and
That's a
they're
big part,
fucking
though.
prepped. Yeah, huge. Right?
Psyops
Like, they had the
is-
ability to
psyops
turn
is a
off.
big deal.
Well, and they have the ability to turn off their infrastructure with a computer. Like, Russia has the ability to turn off gas. And we were talking about this last night, Chris. Was it 40% of Europe gets their gas, their
Correct.
energy from Gazprom or Russian pipes?
Correct. I confirmed that number. I thought it was higher, but I actually dug in and did some real looking into it. And
So let-
40% of Western Europe's natural gas comes from Russia. So that's a flip side of that coin. If they turn the taps off, they don't get the money, but that's going to fuck things up. There's a massive economic ripple effect that'll occur from these sanctions on both sides of the fence. We'll see what it looks like.
I'm excited for
I can't
I'm
speak
excited
to it.
for a $400 tank of gas.
Coming. Oh, if you're a CEO of a major oil company right now, you're dancing a fucking jig because
No
watch what
kidding.
happens.
Yeah, Zelensky was apparently a part of some sort of coalition of different governments, like local European governments, that were actually coming up with solutions to get out of the Russian gas, and that pissed Putin off even more. So that apparently had traction, though. So I don't know if that's going to play a major role if they do have other ways and means, but right now that's literally 40%.
Well, and to flip the coin on that, Russia's fucked because they're the largest oil producer in the world, not the Middle East, and they're going to sit on massive surplus that they can't move. Like, what the fuck are they going to do with it? It's the same boat we were in
Crazy
in 2014.
Yep. Yeah, fucked. Anyway, thanks for helping us undress a whole bunch of this. I really
Thank you so
appreciate it. Fire for Effect, the name of the podcast. Army Chris, Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock or 1800 hours, as he says, Mountain Standard Time. He'll fill you in again this next Wednesday. Thanks for doing this, brother. Great to see
Your
you.
numbers are going to blow up, dude.
Cheers,
for all the
boys.
wrong reasons, I guess. but
Appreciate you.
yeah,
For all of
Yeah.
good podcast.
Yeah. Just got rid of him. Just bumped him right there.
Guys, I ain't bad.
Thanks for your service.
I really did. I can't.
He really put it in a good perspective, though. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Glad he was here.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
it's fun. It's nice
Thanks,
to have a perspective of someone who's actually in a war. Like, that's kind of rare. You know.
Well, that's why I'm searching for stuff here, because you're hearing a lot of, you know, both sides of this thing, right? There is some support. I mean, it's minimal, but there is a little bit of support for what Putin is doing, right, on some level. You know, at least in some of the outlying areas that he says are pro-Russia. And then this conversation about whether or not there'll be like, you know, a resistance is terrifying for me, just based on the fact that my daughter's in a neighboring country, right? So
would you go?
He wouldn't.
Would you
He
go
wouldn't
over,
have done it
you
if
and me?
Hillary Clinton was president. It's one of those weird things. Like he
Would you
wouldn't
go
have.
over? You and me, we'll go over there together. We'll protect
I
your
am
daughter. I'll go.
I am not a war fighting machine.
Machine?
I'm not. I'm not that guy. I'm sorry, and I hope that doesn't make me look like, well, everybody knows I'm a big puss, but I can't wrap my head around. We are very lucky. Like I'm 51. I just turned 52. I'm 52. I've never seen a major conflict. I've never.
No, me
I've
neither.
fired a gun. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I've even held a gun or fired a gun. Right? Like, we're very lucky. I'm not.
We are very
I hope
lucky.
that's not a. I hope that doesn't escape people. Right? Like,
Do you think? Can I ask you guys a question? Because of what we just went through, and interested to get everybody's answer here. Jamesy, we'll start with you, but like because you operate with a little more sympathy across the board, which is weird because I wouldn't think that you would be that guy, but you are. Does seeing this? No, it's a compliment. Does seeing this, you know, what's going on in Ukraine, real war, real oppression, real bombs, real dictatorship, real tyranny. Do you think it's going to reset some people's clocks in this country after what we went through last week?
No, I don't. It's weird too, because I remember when the States was bombing Iraq and Afghanistan, I remember feeling, holy fuck, look at those civilians. They're running away. They're scattered. Like, Jesus Christ, this is awful. This is a disaster. Like, X amount killed after so many years. And it was just like, oh. And then I look at this, and it actually doesn't impact me as heavy. And I know he's not the ally. He's the enemy. So I get that. But it's just like, if you're just measuring, okay, imagine Putin invaded and then killed like 300,000 civilians and then occupied the country for a decade. And then, then it's as bad as what we do. So I find it really difficult to sort of reconcile that kind of stuff in my head. And I look at it from that perspective because anytime I see something happen, I'm like, okay, what if this was from a person I support? How would I feel about it? And I just always do that exercise. And so when I do this and I'm thinking, what if Canada did what Russia did? I'd be like, that's bad. But then you look at NATO and it's like, Jesus Christ, the people that are saying he's the worst devil on the planet have done far worse. And so I don't know how to reconcile that. I just don't know.
Linz?
I don't know. I really don't. I don't think it's going to move the needle on the extreme side. Possibly for some moderates, depending on the way they receive information on what's happening and the language that information is portraying what's going on. If they're using the words like tyrant, oppression, real, issues, maybe. I think it might have more resonance with some kids. Like the younger generation might actually, take notice a bit more. But the ones that are heels deep into this, they're still driving their trucks down to honking their freedom horns. I don't think that's going to change them very much.
No.
Unfortunately.
Sadly, I don't think. I wish that this conflict, whatever it is right now and whatever it leads to, would have an impact on the people that lived here and maybe secure a little more respect for what we have. But I don't know. Like, I've lost a lot of respect for a good chunk of Canadians. That video of that guy in front of his kids that's wearing a helmet. He chose to wear a fucking helmet, and he's wearing, clothes that keep him warm from the elements, and yet he won't put a mask on his fucking face at a ski hill. And like, watching that, I was just absolutely disgusted. Like, I was
Isn't
so
a big
revolted.
swath of that? Isn't a big swath of that crowd too? Aren't they? Doesn't it look like the globalists are messing with the guy who's not the globalist because he's not part of all the globalist organizations? Don't they kind of see it like that? Isn't that why they sort of favor
No,
Putin?
I don't think so. I think they would look at it like an act of war, where a guy went in to like literally beat the shit out of a country to take it over, and doesn't care who he kills to get it. I mean, that's the difference between you go back and you do some historical modeling, right? And you say, okay, well, the history of wars where people are like, I want our part of our country back and all that other stuff, which we, I know that you covered a little bit previously. This is war. The guy is killing people to get some land and some infrastructure because he wants it, and I think that's like, I think we should have the ability as human beings on this side of the country to be able to call something what we see it. Like, there is good and there is bad. This is bad, right? Yeah. And saying that it's not, or it's an equilibrium geopolitical power play, is like the most disingenuous thing you could say about these, these people who are legitimately under the thumb of a guy who's flying Tomahawk missiles into people's houses right now to scare the shit out of them so he can take over a country and take all the resources because he's a fucking insane genius.
That is totally fair, and I think you're absolutely right. I think maybe the problem that I'm having when I look at this is that my brain instinctively wants to look for a good guy in the world, and I'm just trying to figure out who the good guy is right now, because it doesn't seem like there are many good people.
Probably Trump
at leading countries. What's that?
Trump? No, it's Trump
when all else fails.
No.
Did you see what they're doing in Europe too? Like Putin and RTV is playing like a whole bunch of Trump interviews saying, "Hey, Trump sanctioned this. He wants us to do it." Like, this is what they've been working towards, right? Yeah. I mean, it's all been part of the plan. And if you want to give Putin credit for anything, I mean, what a long game. 24 years he planned this.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like the last KGB agent. I wonder if this is like still a mission.
Well, do you know his history too? His history's fucked. Like, he was a KGB agent in East Germany when the wall fell, and a bunch of East Germans surrounded his precinct, and he was the only guy in there. And he put on the loudspeakers that the army was coming to kill everybody unless they left immediately, and he was the only dude in there. So it was like his first psyops deal that he fucking pulled, and it worked. Everybody split. And he managed to get himself out of East Germany. He managed to get back to Russia. And he was so pissed. He was so pissed at the weak-handed nature of the fall of communist Russia and the USSR, that Soviet the empire. He was so mad. That's what started this plan, which is fascinating. Because when you talk to people that understand him and historical Putin people who write books about the guy, to see him go as crazy as he's going now, or to be unhinged, I mean, I don't know that he is. To your point, he might just have fucking played the perfect war game for 24 years.
Yeah, you don't even have to look further than how he became the president. Like, that's right. The corruption and scandal that alone. This is totally on cue. Like, this is totally what you would expect from somebody like him. It's fast. The story of him is fascinating.
He goes scary, from the KGB agent thing, like you just said, surrounded, and then I think he became like something like the chief assistant or the chief of staff to the mayor of Moscow or something like that. And then after that, he kept climbing and climbing. And then he was part of the negotiations for Yeltsin's resignation and all that kind of stuff. And I think he was like the number 2 guy to this other guy. I'm sorry that I'm butchering it a little bit, and then I think probably, if it's Putin, he probably always
him out a window
for that other guy to get. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. One second he was eating a dinner roll, the next second he was on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing how many of these fucking cats get pushed out of windows in Russia. Like, do you know how many people, how many COVID doctors in Russia got pushed out of the windows or fell out of windows over the past 2 years? 70.
Yeah, they
like 70 nurses and doctors just fell out of windows in hospitals. I don't know.
What do they call that when they throw them out windows? When you're thrown out a window, remember? Didn't Randy Hillier get pissed off at somebody for saying that word?
Is it called spillage?
It's an actual word for it. Maybe somebody in the comments can put it up. But yeah, it's he's a dictator. Like, it's just a dictator under the guise of liberation and democracy. That's a false.
They think he's the richest man on the planet. Like, just unofficially, because it's all through all the oligarchs who he'll gladly kill if they don't, hold his money for him. Basically. He's like a trillionaire, apparently. Like, really, it's crazy.
And that was
Why
the
doesn't
thing.
he just chill out? You're a
I
fucking
know. Why didn't he
trillionaire,
just
dude.
get in a subway, head down to St. Lucia, maybe
what makes me
pop up with
nervous.
a $20 billion and buy a couple islands and just say, hey, you know what? I'm done. You guys, I'm sorry. Maybe I was a dick. I'm just gonna have some Mai Tais on the beach and get Botox every 3 weeks and live my best self.
Colonialism
Defenstrate.
is so 20th century.
Defenstration is the word I was looking for.
Defenstration, yeah.
Yeah, where you, the
get
act of
defenstrate.
throwing somebody out a window.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves it. It's like his
He's a big
MO.
defenstrator. Anyway, boys,
My
thanks for
wife
doing
and
this.
I are
Really
going
appreciate it.
to a hotel in Ottawa next month. On the
No,
18th
don't do it.
floor.
Don't do it.
Sorry.
Don't
Okay,
do it.
I'm just saying.
James D. Fiore, Blackball the podcast is where you can find him. He did a great one today with Linz and his lovely wife, host of the Sheeple Shepherd
That
podcast.
was a
You can
surprise.
go and check it. Why?
Thanks, James.
I
I had no
know I
idea
had
that
fun.
Ashley was coming.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't do it right. I was gonna like surprise, and he's like, our relationship at the beginning was gross, and I'm like, in now, and they were both in agreement, and I was like, Christ, you guys get along really well. Jesus.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
It was gross.
Anyway, great podcast called Sheeple Shepherd is where you can get it. Linz was just on it, and they talked about his podcast on James's podcast, which is Blackballed. You can get all those podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Google, Spotify, etc. And you can get them on Twitter as well, at Ryan Lindley or at James D. Fiore. Thanks, boys.
Night, guys.
Talk to you both soon. All right. That's it. That is it. And I asked everybody this one question. I'm like, you see bombs getting dropped on a country full of sovereign, peaceful people by a tyrannical dictator after going to Ottawa, having a hot tub, making group chili, taking a dump on the streets for a month. Very different forms of oppression. Just putting it out there. Very different. Like, Call Me Nighthawk on Twitter put this out. Claiming your freedoms have been trampled by the inside of a hot tub seems significantly more asinine this morning. A couple guys in a hot tub with Fuck Trudeau signs talking about freedom. And then a picture of a massive plume of smoke, huge explosion at the Kyiv airport where tons of people died. That's oppression. Very different. Get to know oppression, I guess. My mask? I don't want to wear a mask. That's oppression. Nope. That's not oppression. This is oppression. You fucks. You greasy hillbilly fucks. Have a great day. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, DeanBlundell.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dean Blundell Show TV. On Twitter, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. And anywhere you get your fine podcast, sign up. That'd be great. Really appreciate it. This is oppression, by the way, if you're watching this. This is not. Just so you know. Just so we're on the same fucking page. Thanks to our friends and sponsors over at Easy Auto Financial. Easy Auto Financial, helping people get in cars one car at a time. Doesn't matter about your credit rating either. They don't even care. They're just aces at it. They don't care. They get you your car. They get you your credit. They get you your financing. Doesn't cost you a thing. No obligation. Go to easyautofinancial.ca and check them out today. Also, thanks to our friends over at Domination. Dominate with content. Go to dmntn.com. These guys help you put all your promos to bed in minutes instead of hours. It's incredible tech. Super cool. Free to use the first time. Try them today. Go to dmntn.com if you're a podcaster, streamer, gamer, etc. And, of course, Ed's Fine Imports, edsfineimports.com. Check them out today. Go online. Huge online store. Clothing for guys and little fellas, too. Men and boys, I believe it's what it's clothing for men and boys. And he's also got luxury branded underwear for the adult fellas. Boxer briefs, pouch in the front. Gitch3 is your promo code. Gitch and then the number 3. Type it in and he'll send you a free pair when you order 3 or more. Go to edsfineimports.com. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being part of the show. Appreciate it. Bye.